Alrighty.
All right.
We are going live.
Okay, let's see. Where's your. Oh, there you go. There it is. Dinale's Musings.
Yes.
All right, give me a sec. I'm going to put this on Twitter now.
Nah, it doesn't need to be on Twitter. Do, 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 do. Alright. Share screen. Share screen. Window. Chrome. Cancel.
All right,
Alright.
let's go. Actually, choose a window that highlights you over me.
I don't think I. What? This?
No, that's. Yeah, there you
This?
go. Yeah, that's it.
Alright. There you go. Ha! It's a practice. We're 2 minutes and it's just me going, uh-huh. And this is working.
Yeah, yeah.
It's going.
Uh-huh,
It's
yeah.
going.
Uh,
It's going. Where's the musing? It was spam. This is spam. This is not musings at all. Well, this is just a test. I'm just testing, guys. Testing the live stream in StreamYards and seeing how this works. Cause
all right. Go on. Let's hear about this. How the legends get destroyed.
all right. So take two because we try to do this on your stream, George.
And I was playing Robin Hood public domain video off of archive.org, which apparently YouTube doesn't like.
Yes.
Go figure.
So go figure. Go fish. So I was actually watching Robin Hood, the Errol Flynn area on archive.org, when the thought struck me, how do you kill a legend? And basically, this idea has been circling around my mind for the last couple of years, ever since I witnessed, I didn't witness, but I watched in a movie theater with my family, The Last Jedi. And I was trying to figure out why the movie upsetted me so much, and I wasn't quite sure.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
Typical George. Trying to be all serious here. Nah, nothing serious.
Go on.
All right.
You can't have a meal without pepper.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So, anyway, so as I was watching Star Wars, and I've been rummaging in my head, putting the idea in the back of my mind, what did I distinctly dislike about Star Wars? And I said many reasons. First of all was the story, and then, you know, that the characters weren't likable, and that they were actively just trying to destroy the past, and say here's what we want. But at the end of the day, it kind of came back to Robin Hood and Errol Flynn motifs, because Star Wars is from that genre of heroics. I mean, I remember Star Wars, even the beginning theme song, the brass musical, da.
Yeah.
That all comes from that era. Ivanhoe, the temp music for Star Wars. I think you knew that this, George, but it was Idaho music. They used a temp score from Idaho.
Oh, no, that's news to me. Wow.
Yeah. So this was steep in Aeroflinness. Deep cuts, deep cuts. This was the style that they wanted Star Wars. And when it dawned to me as I was watching Errol Flynn today, that how do you kill a legend? And this is like my third, fourth time saying this, but how do you do so? And basically, it's you kill a legend by proving they exist. It's like it's a central thesis statement for like Batman, the Christopher Nolan Batman from Batman Begin. How do you create a legend that the criminals of Gotham will fear? You make a symbol. You can't beat the man because the man can be broken, it can be corrupted, but a symbol can't do so. Well, in the same manner, um, you make them be real, and that's why the original trilogy holds up so much, regardless of technology and everything. It holds up because it becomes a legend. It became a legend. It's a fairy tale, a galaxy far, far, long, long away. In a galaxy far, far away, Star Wars happened, and that's why, kind of like the prequel, people didn't really understand, couldn't put words into what they were experiencing. Is that George Lucas and his attempt to show how a empire or a republic becomes an empire, and how the Jedi goes from being guardians of the republic becomes a disgraced, destructive, broken organization, and how a good person becomes bad. Instead of focus on those ideals, those legendary ideals, he focused on the mundane. He broke the cardinal rule of making it exist. The Force isn't a mystical power. The Force is a communication by bacteria called melachorians that every living organism has. The Trade Federation wasn't taken over by evil dictator. It was corrupted by greedy politicians that allow corporations to manipulate the government. The Jedi, the hero fell. Yeah, he's not the invincible hero. He's not the charming hero. He was just an angry kid who had a lot of power, who was told he was prophesied to bring balance to the Force, and it got to his head that, with all the disaster and all the heartbreaks and all the things, he said, "No, I'm going to do it my way," and basically got broken in the process. And as I continued looking at it, you could start seeing it. It's like, when did this happen? When does this decline in making everything, happen? And I can kind of point to it, and it has to be Robin Hood and Marion, the Sean Connery film. It was too realistic. Because after that time, all the Robin Hoods were, Hollywood was going, it has to be more realistic. It has to have proper British accent, And he's like, no. It's like, what about Kevin Costner movie, Prince of Thieves?
Yeah.
Well, you take Kevin Costner out of it, and it's Hollywood's trying to. It's like there's a tug and pull where they're trying to keep it Errol Flynn like, but they're also going as realistic as possible. You can see like the juxtaposition, the transition from going from the original to this new zeitgeist mentality of realism. Because the latest movie that adapted Robin Hood was the guy leaves several years from his city, he comes back. He pretends he's a playboy, rich person. He calls himself the Hood, and he fights the criminals of the city.
Holy smokes! It's just like Batman.
Yeah. So basically, the closest we have for Robin Hood and why Batman is working so much is because they've modified Robin Hood into Batman. And that's how they can perceive it. That's why Batman is working so hard. Because if you look at it, Batman is still Batman, whether it's 1966, whether it's 1989, whether it's 92, Schumacher's Batman. Batman has the same quality. If you get rid of he's fighting these galley of rogues, what do you have? You have Robin Hood. But the other one that's surprising, and I think it was surprising to you, George, when I mentioned in the other stream that got taken down, was that the Fast and the Fury is the closest interpretation of Robin Hood. And
Yeah. So expand on that.
yeah. So basically, I know it's like it's a remake of Point Break. Yes, originally it was a remake of Breaking Point with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, which is a superior movie, even though it has Keanu Reeves in it, than Fast and the Fury. But if you look at the film franchise together, you have a guy stealing from the rich, doing dexterity feats that's impossible for other people, stealing from the rich, and is surrounded by his family. Robin Hood, doing dexterity feat that's impossible for other people, stealing from the rich. It has his family, which is the bands of merry men. They're being chased by authorities. The other one, the sheriff of Nottingham. They have love interest. They're Maid Marians. They have their little John, Paul Walker, and I can continue going forward with it, and it's fun, and they no longer are grounded in the reality of realism, but they've moved a step upward to legendary. I think somebody back then, I think for Fast and the Furious 7 or I think it's 7 or 8, said that their superpower is driving cars in extreme, unbelievable ways. But that's the point. It's kind of cool to know. It's like, maybe there's a person. Yeah, have you heard about this family that drive cars, steal from the rich, and does all these unbelievable stunts? It's the same thing as, hey, it's a guy with his band stealing from the rich, and this guy has amazing archery skill that can do crazy stuff with his arrow, bounce off the walls and all that stuff. It's the same thing. So it comes back to where it was going about with The Last Jedi, what's happening with Star Wars, and what's happening with everything that's been going on. Why there's a recoil backlash about the new stuff that the filmmakers are doing, in which is they're forgetting that they're breaking the one rule, is that you don't make them you don't allow them to exist. You don't prove that they exist, because if you prove that they exist, it's no longer a mystery. They can be broken. That's why there was a backlash with Indiana Jones and the Kingdom Skull, because Indiana Jones, Spielberg proved that he was a man, and that's not okay. Besides the backstory, but ultimately he broke the cardinal rule that he's a man.
Yeah.
The same thing with the sequel Star Wars. They basically proved that
the prequels.
Well, the prequel, but even more the sequels.
Okay, yeah.
Because the prequel, George wasn't trying to deconstruct his universe. The sequels, they deconstructed everything. Luke is is a hermit who cut off himself from the powers. He isn't likable. He's has worry. He attempted to kill his nephew, where the idealized version of Luke wouldn't have done that. They broke his legend. That was an assassination of his legend of Star Wars.
Right.
And the same thing happened with Indiana Jones. Whether they intentionally saw it or not, they assassinated their own legends. And that's why there's a big recall. They can't do legendary stories anymore. They don't have the capacity. They don't have the vision to do legendary stories. George, you were talking about Star Trek, where the main protagonist couldn't even hold a phaser right.
Oh yeah, in Discovery.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where it's coming from. And I'm like, they're actively trying to destroy the legends of our culture, basically. We grew up, the same thing with the Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp. You recall that?
Yes.
Why didn't it succeed?
Yeah, because they were making it too real.
Exactly. How about John Carter of Mars? Why didn't that succeed?
Well, they really messed that one up.
Right.
They weren't following the rules.
Exactly.
Which is interesting. For them to become the new rulers, they need to destroy the things that inspire us to become better than we are.
Exactly.
No, well,
Well,
no. Give me a sec.
go ahead.
Let me expand on that for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to tear down society and rebuild it the way they think. But for them to succeed, they need to remove the element that inspire us to be better. Uh, you know, as an example, in terms of spirituality, you believe in God, right?
Right.
That pretty much inspires you to follow rules and be better and be and love thy neighbor, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, our modern legends like Superman and stuff like that, it inspires you to be that Boy Scout, to step up and help where help is needed. In the past, when you're talking about stuff like the Iliad, the Odyssey, and all that stuff, you're talking about the hero's journey, where you leave the house, you step across the street, you discover, you learn, you are challenged, and you come home a different person, a better person. You're more knowledged, more skilled to handle life. And for them for them to tear down society and rebuild it the way they want it, they want to take those elements away from you. Robin Hood uh, comes out of comes from a faraway place, comes home and sees home being ravaged, so to speak. Ben Kenobi, same thing. Comes and discovers stuff is being ravaged. It's like it's the basics of the concept is there. It inspires us. It makes us happy. You go to the movie theater and you leave happy. When you went to the movie theater and saw Star Wars, you left happy. When you
Yeah.
when you
Well,
went to the Disney Star Wars, you weren't happy.
No.
In fact, when you went to the prequel Star Wars, you weren't happy. The prequel Star Wars, the first prequel, you ended with a fiery pit death, in the Phantom Menace. In the second one, uh, there was a hope, but you still ended up with, a specter of evil. And the third one, you know where you're ending up, you know where you're going.
Hmm.
There was no, oh yeah, he's going to turn into Darth Vader. I'm so happy. No, you're not really happy. You know, you already know he's going to be Darth Vader from the original trilogy. There's no happiness there. And I mean, Rogue One was pretty much the only Star Wars new Star Wars production that sort of, you left the theater going, yeah, I was sort of happy. Everybody died, but you know what? Uh, they died to get those codes to the rebellion,
And we
and
know what happens.
that ending, that awesome ending,
Hmm.
was a moment where you're talking about it. It's like, yeah, that was great, but you still didn't have the grandeur that you had of Star Wars Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi.
And that's why Solo fails spectacularly, because you
Oh
destroyed
yes,
the legend of Solo.
and the season ending, the second season ending of The Mandalorian,
Hmm.
that was that was a Star Wars ending moment.
Yes.
That was a happy Star Wars ending moment. It's like, it, but you don't get that anywhere on anything else that they've produced so far.
No. They're incapable of understanding that. It sounds like we're griping. It's like, where have you been? No, no, no. We've been here the whole time. It's now that we're figuring out, we're able to put in words the feeling that's been circling around. Like how it's like, what is the Matrix? And
Yeah,
it's like you can't describe it. You can only feel it.
yeah,
When you wake up, when you do throw away your trash, when now we can put words to it. We can actually describe it. They're actively destroying legends.
yes,
Think about it. They're changing Spider-Man, who was Peter Parker, destroying his legend. Now Peter Parker is a kid from Queens that got Tony Stark's tech to make himself great. I think in the first movie saying, you know, I don't have your tech, I'm not good enough, blah blah blah, and that's never been the case for Spider-Man. Yes, he'll have those moments of doubt, but he always bounces up.
yeah. But the thing
And
is, that's the thing that really bugs me is Spider-Man created his own tech.
exactly,
He only needed as he went as far as having the web shooters,
yeah,
the spider tracker, and the utility belt that actually has a spotlight in the center of his belt, and extra cartridges. That's
yeah.
it. That's all the tech he needed, and he didn't have anything more than that. And if he needed more stuff than what he had, uh, he
He
didn't.
would make he would make it
He would try to make it, but most of the time he had to figure out with his wits how to persevere.
right. So basically, they lessened his legend status by giving it over to Stark. He had to be bestowed his powers from Stark to succeed. And while Tony Stark is awesome, and they're saying, "Hey," again, it's a fundamentalness of these individuals that says they don't really understand the property they're handling. We're nitpicking, but these nitpickings are part of the legend, part of the cornerstone that's been, added, refined, and retold. Spider-Man, whether it was the Spider-Man cartoons back in the 70s, the Spider-Man cartoons in the 90s, the Spider-Man comics, you know, Jack Kirby explained it. It's like, look, this kid is smart. This kid knows how to build his technology. He was a scientist. Had the accident not happened to turn him into Spider-Man, he would have been a smart scientist developing technology kind of deal.
Yeah.
And no, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of fascinating to watch the cultural vandalism that's been going through Hollywood. This, what this is a cycle, and we're back into the cycle of the early 70s, where the corporation bought the studios and they don't know what to do with the studios. Because the corporation had no business having control of the studios. And it took independent people who love the old stuff to come in and start making movies that inspire them and made blockbusters.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, it just hit me. The corporations that actually own the creative content. Um, this just hit me. They only know how to manage widgets. They only know how to um, by what we call not trial but committee, but managed by committee.
Mm-hmm.
They only know how to sell and market a physical product like a toothbrush
Right.
or a shoe
Or Coca-Cola.
or Coca-Cola. That you call these physical products widgets, but when you have something creative, something that's they they think the widget is the movie, the physical movie itself, and they don't know how to address the content that's in that 2 hours. They know how to. They're thinking that this video is the widget, and
Right.
they're going to sell this widget to the audience, and the audience is going to buy it, just like they purchase Coca-Cola,
Mm-hmm.
or just like they purchase a cereal. But they don't understand that the content in this widget, this 2 hour widget, is not the same. The creativity of this content is um, is subjective to it's not you're not subjective to the person's taste, or I like Cocoa Puff cereal over Captain Crunch
Mm-hmm.
or Fruit Loops, or I like Coca Cola over Pepsi. This is not something where it's tangible based on the senses that you have, the five senses. You smell something, oh, I like that more than this. You taste something, I like that more than this. You see, you're looking at the content is of the mind.
Right.
It's completely alien to these corporations, even if
Right.
they say they're experts. I
And
mean,
that's well,
and
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 think about it. They're looking for software. If you want to make a metaphor, the the movie itself is the hardware, but they don't know how to code the software, and they're looking throughout the internet, and they're getting hack people who don't know what they're doing to give them faulty software guidance, which is why they're putting a lot of the wokeness. Oh, this is what people are talking about because this is my, my search parameters happening, right?
yeah,
Instead of going to the actual people that knows, they're going for the cheapest denominator because they think people only care for spectacle. They don't care for story. If you can say whatever you want as long as there's plenty of action and bring them to the seat because we got their money anyway. And that's why you see like AT&T had the same idea, right?
yeah,
Until recently where they had to sell, merge uh, Warner Media with Discovery.
Yeah, that's the kicker in there. You have these guys merging, doing all this, and then you're just going like, oh, wait a minute, uh, AT&T, all they're looking at widgets. They don't care about anything else. Does this widget make us money? Oh, it doesn't. Oh, this widget has a message. Does this message make us money? Oh, it doesn't.
Actually,
It-
is it causing us to lose more money?
yeah, yeah. There's a tangible number. There's a tangible event. It's not like, oh, we're trying to get this message out. It's like no. It's like a friend of mine recently said to me, if you see people crossing the street on a red light, would you be dumb enough to cross the street on a red light? Would you follow them to cross the street on a red light? No, of course not.
Right. But people don't realize that. They just go and assume instead of having critical thinking. It's the same thing as what was the other one that was recently breaking apart and going back on?
Oh, geez. I had a brain freeze at them. I don't remember. I have to think about it. Gosh.
Well, what's going on is we're just talking about the destruction of legends.
Oh, Mr. Yanafu is in the chat. Yeah, we're trying it here on Dinale's channel.
Yeah. So that's the interesting part of it. No, it's crazy.
Yeah, now it's if people say, well, it's destroying our culture,
Yeah.
but this culture, where you're always constantly inspired, it's
Right.
really not stuck to or unique to North America. I mean, everything that makes up North America has been the greatest pieces from all over the world.
Exactly. So it kind of, that's where my mind went before we both had dual brain freeze, and that was you remember the story that happened maybe a week or so ago where the comic book artists are talking about the sales of mangas and how the sale of manga helps the comic book industry overall. That's a
Yes,
good thing.
yes,
It's because you know as a discussion, those book sales are physical representation of widgets that you just mentioned, George, for the corporation, where they can point at and say, look at the book's number of widgets. Here's the concrete, which is, both a double-edged sword for them because now they're showing, wait a minute, if these foreign comic books are making this much money, why is our division, who should be knowledgeable about their audience and have a strong market share, are not producing the same number of widgets? And yes, long live to the digital. Well, technically, digital, you don't own the digital copy. So what if your computer breaks off? What if the website that has the thing? No, it's better to always have physicals, which is one of the reasons why gamers are not happy with PlayStation, because the physical disc are just key codes like the PC games of old. You don't even if that server goes down, you're unable to play the games on your system.
Wait a minute. Everyone keeps saying buy the physical media, buy the physical media. Well, here's the thing. Um, I personally haven't purchased anything off of Apple or Amazon or whatever. When it comes to buying a movie, I would actually buy the physical movie. But theoretically, when you buy a movie off of Apple or Amazon, it's a digital movie, right?
Yeah.
Um, can't you just save that movie to your hard drive?
Well, the problem is, it's like the Disney Plus version, right? They uploaded a couple movies and they censored it. So that means that any of the versions of the movie, maybe there's a specific version that you like. Maybe Apple's not selling that specific version, and that version is only in a digital, not digital, but a physical format. A VHS, a Betamax, a DVD player, or a Blu-ray player, or a Blu-ray disc. That's the other argument to it, that you have to worry about, that these companies, because of the cultural norms, they might be censoring or outright banning and saying, like Disney, the Song of the South. Are you, are you going to ever find a video for educational purposes about that movie? You know, no,
No.
you're not, because it's been discontinued, and you're going to have a hard time trying to find something like that. Uh, a mini keyboard on Amazon. Well, thank you, Mr. John Food, for your
Enlightenment.
enlightenments. Yeah. No. But I think it's a real shame. It's a real shame. I mean, here's like saying, so what is the solution? What is the solution to this vandalism? Well, there's no easy solution, because it takes people, or it takes not people. Let me strike that out. It takes individuals to have the will and the determination and the stamina to see it through. Did
Well,
you
okay,
did you
okay. I got to stop you there
mhm.
for a moment, and I have to bring a little history into the fold.
Go ahead?
The reason why legends and stories have persevered over these many hundreds and thousands of years,
Yes.
and that we know of them, is because they were told, they were passed on from family member to family member, friend to friend, and other and so forth. So while the King George, I think it was, or King James, wanted to ban and re-edit the Bible to his own liking, the Bible still persevered. While monarchs and tyrants wanted to have perpetual slavery, serfdom, uh, the stories and history continue to be passed on. They could not prevent people from talking. And back
Right.
then, people would have to memorize these stories. Family members were tasked for recollection, for memory, to pass on information. Indian chiefs, they uh,
Remember the stories of their ancestors.
and remember the stories of their ancestors, and they were recited ad nauseum, so that the way they would never forget any nuance, any detail, as they pass it on to the future generations. The Jewish people as well, they would continue to transcribe all the information. Uh, uh, where's it? The gypsies would continue to sing and what do you call it, pass on the stories. Basically campfire stories, but these stories were actually very real. So what's taking history into account, or as an example, what's happening today? Well, they're trying to massively censor people from from this knowledge, this inspiration make the human mind weak
Right.
and easy to enslave on a global scale. But that's not going to work. Why? Because people still communicate with each other, even and people communicate with each other more so offline than they do online. Oh, in a family setting, in a friends setting, uh, in a workplace setting, people communicate more with other people, and it's what do you call it? It's fake. This online communication. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm able to talk to thousands of people, hundreds of tens, hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. Millions of people are watching me play a video game or talk about the certain something and all that stuff. Okay, yeah, and so what? When you have people sitting at a table without the internet, that communication's just as powerful. And those people, um, you know, go out into the world and they communicate to other people. And this sort of, I don't know, what do you call it, viral communication is what they're trying to stop, but it's impossible to stop. If you have like four people in a family who step out of the house and and each of them talk to other people out there, they can't stop that communication. They can't stop that story. Yeah, as somebody out there walking, or you're talking to a friend saying, you know what, I heard about this Robin Hood movie uh, with Earl Flynn. Do you know about it? He goes, yeah, I know about it. He goes, how can I find it? How can I get it? And he says, well, get on DVD or Blu-ray. And here's where you can get it, or you can get it online. Here's where you can get it. That knowledge is passed on. That communication, that story, that history, it's passed on. And now we're collecting history. Uh, I'm expanding on this as I close out on this thought.
Hmm.
Every single one of us is a library. Is now currently in today's world a library unto ourselves. Uh, I think Chuck Dixon said that he owns more movies and more TV series combined than Netflix, and I think he mentioned that on Facebook one time when I was just
Yeah.
browsing Facebook. And you think about it, and like that's a profound statement. And then you realize that every one of us is literally a Netflix unto ourselves. I have a library of movies I purchased over the years: laser discs, DVDs, CDs, laser discs. I never purchased Blu-rays because I think that's just what's the point? You got a 1080p movie. Why need a 4K movie? You're not you won't be able to register all those colors. You're still getting the same experience. But okay, I was digressing. What do you call
Yeah,
it?
you're digressing.
Yeah, yeah.
Back.
Okay, but yeah, we're all a library unto ourselves. They can't stop that. They literally would have to come to you and take all your worldly possessions. They literally have to come to your house and take your bookshelf, all the books on your shelf away from you. That's what they have to do to stop you from communicating to other people.
Absolutely. And they're trying hard.
And that's interesting because I remember was a couple of years ago I discovered that they're trying hard to digitize the entire library system all over
Yeah.
North America.
Yep.
So every book is digital, and the only thought I have at that point is if they do that, they will actually be able to actively edit content without you ever knowing it.
Right. which is why there's a push to get physical copies because you know that they won't be able to easily edit physical copies.
Well,
You
yeah,
know?
a lot of people have said to me, um, if you have like in the encyclopedia, any publication, any encyclopedia type publication of pre before the '90s, you know,
Yeah,
that's legit research. Yeah,
exactly.
some of the science may be old, but you're the core science, the core knowledge
Is actually true.
is is has
Authentic.
is authentic. It's real. It's not biased. It's there. It's in print. You can't escape it. You know, 1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
End of story.
No, it makes sense. No. So, coming back to the central thesis, how do you destroy a legend? By proving that they exist. Which is, if you think about it, that's why there's always a search to prove whether the thing exists or not.
Oh yeah, the midichlorians.
Yeah,
The force from
yeah,
the midichlorians.
yes,
The force was a legend. When he put in the midichlorians, it was like even I had that same what the f moment when I was
yes,
watching it in the theaters. I'm like, what the yeah, it was instinctive. I go, what you just destroyed, you know, the thing that made Star Wars awesome.
exactly. That's why the prequel Star Wars wasn't as good as the original. He destroyed the legend of the Force, and then he destroyed the legend of the Jedi, and then finally he destroyed the legend of the Republic.
Yeah, there was such an opportunity missed with the prequels. He could have did the Anakin story in 3 parts where he was a slave. I mean, literally a slave, not like a indentured slave like he was,
Yeah,
where you know he had a house, he had food on the table. Oh, I'm whining because you know I got a job. It's like, oh my god, are you kidding me? And that's like every kid on the planet. You know, it's like, oh, okay, you know, you got a job. You know, learn a skill. Uh, you
right.
know, get some experience under you.
I mean,
But if Anakin was literally a slave, you know, or like
like
you
the
know,
king, the Ben Hur slave, like
yeah,
the other.
yeah, the slave,
Yeah,
like in the slave market here that still exists in Africa.
right.
You know the the terrible uh, effects of slavery if they put it into the movie, into the story, into Anakin's story, where he became bitter as he's experiencing slavery. He breaks the bonds of chains, and then he becomes a bitter, angry uh, Jedi,
Well,
eventually he loses, uh, you know, to the dark side.
well, to add to that, well, think about this, George. Say he leaves one slavery and then he gets seduced by the dark side because Palpatine says, "Well, you just left one bondage and just gave yourself into another bondage."
Exactly, because he didn't learn from his experience. It's like the abusive relationship.
Exactly.
You go from one abusive relationship to another. I mean, you know,
Well, because if you,
you've you heard these
yeah,
stories in the news constantly,
right,
and you heard people who actually broke the chains of the constant abuse,
exactly.
and they were able to walk away from it, you know, or you know, and make their lives not what they have experienced for you know for their uh, family, for their generations to come.
Absolutely. So it would be the prequel would actually be the wasn't that he was being held back. It's that, and it would make sense at the end that how Anakin would see the Jedi, it's not another slaveholders because they would take babies from the young age and separate them from their family. Everything that the Jedi's done would be like, well, you're basically slave owners, and I don't appreciate that. And the only one that's been giving me true freedom has been Palpatine.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? The Jedi provide structure and stability, but you have to follow the rules ad nauseum.
Right.
While the Sith provide shelter and instability, but they give you the freedom to act like a dumbass.
Right. And then he becomes a slave to his emotions.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
that's the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker, the perpetual slave.
So if you take that story and you swap it out with say current current world, Palpatine would be a drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
The Jedi would be church, um, and Anakin would be the the teen that didn't didn't want to play by the rules.
Right.
He was the rebel without a cause.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's right.
There you go. Dean
Right,
was
yeah,
Anakin was Dean James Dean.
yeah, and at the end, he decided to go with the drug dealer because the drug dealer was fun. He was, you know, hip. He was the guy that's giving him all the fun toys.
Right. Or, the other interpretation you could do is Robin Hood and the Seven Hoods.
Okay, you got to expand on that for me.
Well, remember, it's a reinterpretation back in the 60s with the Rack Packs, where they
Oh
made.
yes. Oh, I know that story. I know that movie.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh my god, I didn't know you were referencing that movie. That was a
yeah,
great movie.
yes.
Oh my
That's
god.
that's the title, Robin Hood and the
And the
Seven
seven,
Hoods.
yeah. Oh my god, I love that movie.
Yes.
Oh, Frank Sinatra,
Hmm.
Dean Martin, Sammy
Yes.
Davis Jr. Oh my
Yes.
god. Oh, I forgot the other guy's name. George something.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yes. What a great movie. Absolutely funny. It was so well put together.
Exactly. It was a Robin Hood story told in a mafia setting,
Yes,
but it still worked and it still was legendary.
yes.
And the irony is, speaking of legendary, and we'll end at this point. When they
Okay.
got rid of the expanded universe, what was the title that Disney gave the old expanded universe?
I don't know. I didn't even. I just don't care. Oh, good. Go on.
When they decanonized the old expanded universe for Star Wars, they called the old titles would be under the banner Legendaries.
Oh yeah. Look at that.
So somebody knew.
Yeah, well, it's somebody who understood culture was making those decisions.
Yes.
That's someone who wanted to destroy culture would not know the nuances of what they were doing.
Yes. So basically, that person was telling all the fans of Star Wars, just keep reading the Legendaries. You'll be happy. And at that note, thank you for joining us in this hour long video. I don't know when I'm going to stream next, but when the mood strikes me, we'll be here.
All right, great first test. Um, it was We tried to do this on my channel, and because of a copyright strike on a Robinhood video from archive.org, we tried to do the test here without the video, and it looks like it's successful.
Absolutely.
Oh, by the way, Dinale.
Yes.
Before we go,
Okay.
we gotta play out your trailer.
Okay.
I'm going to share screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to go to Dinale's Comics website. And where's the Immortal Mask trailer? Yeah, here we go. I found 46 seconds. Give me a sec. I found it. I'm going to go to Chrome tab. Immortal Mask teaser trailer. Boom. All right, share my screen. And here we go. That was
All
beautiful.
right. Yes.
Awesome.
Amazing work.
All right. Time to press the stop button.
Is there?
Yeah.
Where's it?
Top right corner.
End broadcast.
That's it. And then you have to press it a second time.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Goodbye.
Here we go.